How does a nation get made, then shattered, and then completely reforged into a global powerhouse? Not just once, but multiple times? Well, that's the incredible story of Germany. It's a journey that spans well over 1,000 years, shaped by emperors, rebels, and iron-willed leaders. And honestly, it tells us so much about the Europe we know today.
It's a massive question, right? And the answer is a wild ride of constant, radical transformation. To even begin to wrap our heads around it, we have to go way back to a time when the word Germany didn't even exist.
All right, so let's start our journey in the ancient world. I want you to picture a land of deep, dark forests and powerful rivers. This isn't Germany yet. It's a realm inhabited by a whole mosaic of different peoples who, without even knowing it, were laying the very first stones of this whole story.
So this timeline, it's cramming over a millennium of foundational history into just a few critical moments. First up, you've got these Germanic tribes pushing westward. Then comes a defining moment in 9 AD. They ambush and completely annihilate 3 Roman legions in the Teutoburg Forest. This one battle stops the Roman Empire dead in its tracks right at the Rhine River. Okay, fast forward a few centuries, and the great Frankish king Charlemagne actually manages to unite a lot of these tribes. But that unity is fragile. His grandsons split the empire, and that eastern slice, East Francia, becomes the direct ancestor of what would one day be Germany.
But that dream of unity under Charlemagne, yeah, it shattered. For the next 1,000 years, the story of the German lands isn't about a single nation at all. It's about a deeply fractured political landscape, a house divided against itself. And this is where we get the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the name sounds impressive, but there was this famous saying that it was neither holy, nor Roman, nor an empire. And you know what? That's pretty accurate. Think of it less like a country and more like a patchwork quilt of hundreds of different territories, all loosely gathered under one emperor. And this lack of a strong central power is the key. It's going to define German politics for centuries. Then, in 1517, a German monk named Martin Luther lights a match that sets the whole thing ablaze. The Protestant Reformation wasn't just about faith, it was about power. Northern princes saw a golden opportunity to break free from the Catholic emperor's control by adopting Lutheranism. And just like that, a deep religious and political crack splits the German lands right down the middle. And that crack, well, it eventually exploded into one of the most brutal conflicts in European history, the 30 Years' War. The human cost was almost unimaginable. We're talking as many as 8 million people dead from war, starvation, and disease. In some parts of Germany, the population was literally cut in half. It was a generational catastrophe. So from the ashes of this absolutely devastating war, the chaotic map of Germany finally began to simplify a little. The hundreds of tiny states started to cluster around 2 rival powers. In the south, you had the old money, traditional Habsburg dynasty of Austria. But up in the north, a new challenger was rising, the ambitious, militaristic Hohenzollern dynasty of Prussia. A 2-century-long rivalry for control of the German world was about to kick off. By the time we get to the 19th century, a powerful new idea is sweeping across Europe: nationalism. This feeling that all German-speaking people should belong to a single, united country. After centuries and centuries of division, the dream of a unified Germany was finally within reach. And it would be that northern upstart, Prussia, that would make it a reality. And this is the architect of that reality, Otto von Bismarck, the brilliant and ruthless leader of Prussia. His entire philosophy is perfectly captured in this chilling quote. He was absolutely convinced that German unity wasn't going to come from speeches or votes. Nope. It would be forged by Prussia's industrial might, that's the iron, and the power of its modern army, that's the blood. And Bismarck had a ruthlessly effective 3-step plan to make it happen. It was a masterclass in political maneuvering, really. First, a quick, calculated war with Denmark. Second, a decisive war to knock his main rival, Austria, out of the game for good. And for the final move, he cleverly provoked a war with France, knowing that a common enemy would be the one thing to unite all the remaining German states right behind Prussia. And it worked like a charm. On January 18, 1871, in the ultimate symbol of victory, the German Empire was proclaimed in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, the historic palace of the French kings. It was a calculated humiliation of their defeated enemy. After 1,000 years of division, a powerful new nation had just been born at the very heart of Europe.
But this new empire story, well, it would be both incredibly brief and unbelievably tragic. The very industrial and military power that had forged Germany would soon drag it and the entire world into a catastrophe of unimaginable scale. The pivotal moment really comes in 1890. The young, arrogant emperor, Kaiser Wilhelm II, fires the aging Bismarck. He just tosses aside Bismarck's careful, balanced foreign policy for a new, much more aggressive vision. The Kaiser wanted a global empire for Germany, a place in the sun, and he launched a massive naval arms race that put Germany on a direct collision course with Great Britain and its allies.
And the result was an absolute catastrophe, a domino effect of ruin. The Kaiser's aggressive policy helped ignite World War I, which ended in Germany's crushing defeat and the end of its empire. Then, the victors imposed the punishing Treaty of Versailles, which bred deep resentment and crippled the new, fragile democracy, the Weimar Republic. And all that chaos and national humiliation created the perfect breeding ground for Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party to seize power, leading Germany and the world into the horror of World War II, and ultimately to Germany's own total destruction.
By 1945, Germany was a field of ruins. The nation itself ceased to exist. It was carved up by the victorious Allies and suddenly found itself at the absolute epicenter of a brand new global conflict, the Cold War.
And just look at the stark contrast that emerged from that. In the West, you had the Federal Republic of Germany, a liberal democracy allied with NATO that experienced what they called an economic miracle. But in the East, you had the German Democratic Republic, a repressive communist state totally controlled by the Soviet Union. Two completely different worlds inhabited by the same people, separated by an ideological wall.
And nothing, I mean nothing, symbolized this division more than the Berlin Wall. Built in 1961, it wasn't designed to keep enemies out, but to lock its own citizens in. It was the physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain, a scar running right through the heart of the city and the nation.
And then, on the incredible night of November 9th, 1989, the impossible happened. After months of peaceful protests had been shaking the regime to its core, an overwhelmed East German official mistakenly announced on live TV that the border was open, effective immediately. Crowds just surged to the wall, stunned guards had no idea what to do, and the symbol of division just crumbled in a single euphoric night of disbelief and celebration. From there, political reunification happened at a dizzying pace. I mean, think about it. Less than a year after the wall came down, on October 3rd, 1990, Germany was officially one nation again. It was a moment of profound joy that an entire generation had believed they would never, ever live to see. And the nation that has emerged from that reunification is truly remarkable. Today's Germany is a stable, peaceful democracy. It's the economic engine of Europe and a respected leader on the world stage. It's a complete 180-degree transformation from the turbulent, aggressive nation of the early 20th century. From warring tribes to a divided land, from an empire of iron to a democracy born from ashes, Germany's story is one of profound, constant, and often violent change. It was reforged not once but twice in the last century alone. And that leaves us with the critical question: what will define the next chapter for this powerful, resilient nation at the very heart of Europe?